video. This is Ryder here with the, technically this is the end of the year update video of 2025. However, it's 2026. Obviously, it was just due to the third special PowerRider 10 being delayed by like 4 days, so I couldn't sit down and, record another hour of this video, so I'm finally doing it now. And such. One thing I'm obviously going to apologize for is just my eye contact, because I typically don't have to record videos directly looking at the lens. So I apologize if my eye contact will dart either staring directly at the soft light or the softbox or underneath the lens or anywhere that's not near the camera or even the viewfinder, because obviously with the way I typically film these, I typically try to break my eye contact away from what I'm directly talking to, just so that my eyes don't get strained and such, in this sense. But this is my third day recording this, so I think I should be getting used to staring directly at the camera lens. But anyways, the first thing we should probably go over is just an overall generalization of 2025. We're not going to do a breakdown recap, but we're just going to quickly just gloss over everything that we did in brief succession. So for the most part, 2025 did go the way that I had planned it out from last year and such. There were some delays here and there, and there were some videos that I wanted to do but didn't get to do. But luckily, they weren't in the main planning, outline I had, so I didn't really mind that they weren't done. And just, I'm very glad that people, or viewers, were adapted pretty quickly to written reviews being the main thing running the channel for, half the year, as opposed to being constantly bogged with, reviews for either Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Monday through Friday and such. So it was nice that people, were able to just kind of go along with it and such, because typically for the most part, something like that, people would be vocal about hey, I'm not really certain about this direction, but unfortunately, because no one didn't watch the update video from last year, so it's just kind of more so thrown in their face, and it's just kind of I guess that's just kind of the attitude that a lot of my viewers have, of just they're just kind of gonna not stick up with it, but they're gonna just stubborn through it, just okay, if this is what he wants to do, so be it. And then while I did say that I wanted to do newer types of shorts, or I actually wanted to do things with the Friday slot, unfortunately those quickly fell through after January because of certain situations that obviously would have been insensitive to have done at the time. And more so the shorts, it was just because I was already falling behind with the actual written reviews, so it's I couldn't really prioritize getting certain stuff out just for the sake of doing shorts and such. Other than that, for the second channel actually had a year-long run of content for once, as opposed to being sporadic, or an attempt to be once per month kind of thing, with the return, or with the actual debut of the album entries of the page through series that I've started back in 2020 and such. Just for a quick recap, these album entries were filmed since the conceptualization of the series, because the page throughs were made for these and such. But then we didn't really have a proper transition to K-pop content due to the 5th anniversary not being completed. So these entries were just kind of sitting in limbo until last year. I was just forget it, we're gonna just throw them out. even if some of the entries I talk about projects that never got done and such. And I was actually more surprised that I actually managed to like catch up to the point that I actually was able to put out the 2025 entries in the last 2 months of 2025. There are still 2 more entries in 2025 that need to get put out, but they will get put out when I record the last 2 I got from the last 2 weeks of December. But obviously, then, like, here and there, you got, like, one-off videos, but unfortunately, that's where I kind of faltered on the second channel, just because it's, like, I think at that point, I was working on PowerRider 10 when I wanted to do stuff at the latter half of the year, and then the earlier half of the year, genuinely, I don't have an excuse. Overall, I just want to say I appreciate all the comments that I've received from those earlier entries of the page throughs that I did and such. I just, as I expressed in the 2025 entries, I just genuinely thought it was wholesome and such, just because it was, I guess in a sense, it was kind of validating of like, oh yeah, it's fine for me to do this content and such because people will still be watching it. So again, I appreciate everyone that that has watched the album page throughs that commented. But since we brought it up a lot, let's obviously bring up the 10th anniversary special, PowerRider 10. This was obviously a project planned technically since the 5th anniversary. It wasn't until 2023 where I considered retooling a lot of elements from the initial post-5th anniversary special and just retooling it as the 10th anniversary special and such. So I just want to say, like, thanks to everyone that has bothered to engage with the 10th anniversary content. I understand that it's not the content that people are obviously here for, but it's more so that PowerRider 10 was just basically a way for me to actually be able to somewhat showcase another side of me that I have not been able to, that I've basically had to conceal from audience like you guys due to there not being any context for that stuff. And to like show that I can do more than what I just typically show off of YouTube. Obviously, I've been somewhat showing off that stuff in terms of like Now Dash Ryder or the written reviews, but like obviously like I kind of wanted to have a project that emulated the essentially the tone of like my high school stuff. It like, you know, in the modernizations of like my current like status of my current abilities. So then it didn't seem like, oh, you're just not moving on from the past kind of thing. Like again, just thanks to everyone that that I worked with on the project, including my 2 oldest brothers, Vanilla Lucia Draken, my best friend Rick Bonalds, my college classmates Carly Shea and Allison Forkler, and Gosei Green 1290 and Easy Rider for participating in this special. Even though PowerRider 10 might not seem like an anniversary strictly in regards to my like YouTube career, I view it as more as like a milestone project of like of how far I've come as a video editor or just creator as a whole and such, which is why I wanted to do a bookend on like my high school stuff or just like my school stuff as a whole and such, because I wanted to do a project that can honor that stuff but like can also be legible for like viewers like you who might only know me as like that creator that does really long toy demos. But just overall, like, just thanks to everyone that has participated or has engaged with the content of PowerRider 10 and such. But with that, we can move on to our next section, which is actually our big announcements, to which we'll actually talk about more stuff that are coming out in regards to PowerRider 10. So obviously, we are going to do compilations of all 3 specials and all 4 supplement specials. However, these were already supposed to get released by New Year's on this channel, but due to me not really being satisfied with the outcome of the visual effects and just, generally I could just touch up on a few more aspects such as audio mixing, masking, color grading. I'm going to delay the movie cut of PowerRider 10 to, at the latest, I want to do it by September. So then I can jokingly call it the PowerRider 25 cut, as I will be turning 25 this year. Which then the supplement specials should be following after. But before then, I'm going to try to throw together behind the scenes videos for PowerRider 10, to which they will be sorted weirdly, because they will not be organized by entry. They will actually be organized by the day they are filmed. Which means, for example, like day 1 of filming PowerRider 10 will be split into 2 parts because there were 2 filming sessions. Part 1 will comprise of the footage that Rick, Carly, and I filming, and then part 2 of day 1 will just be footage of Rick and I and such. But I think day 1's the only exception. There might be other days where they will get split into 2, but for the most part, I think there should be about like 8 days worth of like behind the scenes videos we can spread out for the entire year. So maybe I can try to get day 1 part 1 within the next 2 weeks. But maybe I'm gonna try to put out 1 entry up until September for the compilation cuts and such. There might be a compilation cut of the interviews if people were interested in that, but I'm not planning on doing so. It's just the main 3 specials and the 4 supplement specials that are planned right now. Then the last thing to close the PowerRider 10 stuff, we will be having a giveaway in regards to PowerRider 10, to which I want to try to have the announcement video done by the next 2 weeks, because I have the prizes ready. However, I don't have the rules solidified, because I want to make it as easy as possible without making it super complex and such. So bear with me. And since we're already talking about the second channel, basically, I think the second channel is actually going to be... Nothing's going to change about the second channel. We are still going to continue the same content on the second channel, which means, yeah, Now Ryder is just going to, despite the circumstances of PowerRider 10, Now Ryder is in a weird purgatory, in the sense it kind of has to stay the same for the sake of continuity, because of the fact Kwanya Verse 3 didn't get released. There are at least... You should be getting a new Now Ryder again in 2 weeks. But Kwanya Verse 3 should probably get prioritized, but I genuinely kind of lost interest in it due to not being satisfied with aespa's discography in 2025. But other than that, there should be one-off edits, just one-off videos here and there. And then the big thing is that page throughs will continue getting posted and such. Again, as I said before, there's going to be like 4 more entries at least for at the start, even though half of them are 2025 entries, and then the latter 2 should have been also 2025, but they're unfortunately 2026, or they're going to start it. So I don't know when I will release them. I don't know if it will just be like in a span of a month. Maybe by next month. Maybe February, every Friday, we will put out a page through. Page throughs are just, again, going to happen whenever I like can make like a month of them or something. Even though I don't know what I'm going to get. I know what I'm going to get next, but I don't know what I'm going to get after that one. Because it kind of just depends whatever I feel like getting at Barnes & Noble. And then, like, maybe, this is a carryover from last year. We were originally supposed to do, like, videos that were supposed to be, like, not a retrospective, but, like, taking a look at my entire career of, like, just doing, like, these videos, or making videos for YouTube and such. But obviously I got behind and had to prioritize the written reviews, so I think I might start doing that this year. To which, what I want to do first is actually doing that with the video edits and such, because I really want to talk about why I chose what I did for the 10th anniversary of me doing video edits, of why I chose what edits I decided to remake and such. Because I think that will be fun. But at the same time, though, we can either do this as a video format, or we might actually do them as live streams on the second channel and such. Because I think it will be easier to do, like, it's going to definitely be easier as a live stream, but I think it could be more in depth as like a video, but yeah, I don't really know right now, because like I already tested it on this channel, and I kind of do like the way I do it as a live stream, because I just make I make a stupidly generic PowerPoint and just have like a compare and contrast kind of like way. I have fun doing that, so I think we might pursue doing them as live streams for the second channel. So, which then leaves the main channel up in the air, and I mean that literally, because you've already have witnessed it, of the fact that we haven't posted on this channel for 2 weeks and such. And I think that's generally just because I'm going to be changing the way of, for the most part, it's not going to be that drastic, but like, I think, obviously after 10 years, we are actually going to be cutting back on uploading content on this channel. So I'm not really going to be, I'm no longer going to be like full on in terms of like pushing out content for this channel. And ideally, for the most part, this channel is going to adapt the way the second channel schedule is, where I'll at least try to upload 1 video per month. So then at minimum, you get 24 videos out of me. And obviously, I'm mainly doing this as a way to kind of like reel back and kind of like think about where I want to take this channel. Not necessarily take, but like what I want to do with it now. Because obviously, I'm no longer buying into every new series that's airing. I've stopped doing that since 2023. Technically, the last time I did that was during Geats and King Ulger, and then Blazar. And then Arc was the last series I bought into as it was airing. And again, the big thing with 2024 was covering backlog, and we've already succeeded on that. So yes, I'm aware I have backlog still, but like we don't have any like urgent backlog that should be done and such, which is why I think it's fair that I take this approach for the channel and such. So then, when we continue this path, we will eventually evolve this channel to being more so a quality over quantity kind of style and such. But that doesn't mean that we're gonna stop doing like monthly, like, or we're gonna stop like, oh, here's the month of like this toy line and such. We're still gonna do stuff like that and such. To simplify this explanation more, which I probably should have started with, we're basically going to be adapting back to how the channel ran back from 2016 to like 2018 and such, where once I'm done finishing like queuing a batch of videos, and if I generally don't have any more like stuff, then we'll just the channel will be put on hiatus until we get a batch of new things and we just get back at it and such, because that's what happened during 2018 and 2019 and such. I spent the summer through January, like the first half of January, covering like Drive, the second half of Loot Pat, and the majority of the Roop toy line, and then like from the rest of January, February, March, there was nothing until April, where we started off with an unboxing, and we went back as usual and such. But obviously since then, like once in a while, we had like one break due to circumstances, but basically from 2021, which was like my last streak, to like the end of 2025, I've been uploading content once per week on this channel. And then before that, it was from April 2019 through August of 2021. I was uploading content for once per week. So I've been doing that grind constantly, and I think it's time that I probably like just sit back and just, you know, like I sit back and just try to like actually think about like, oh, what do I want to do for this and such, or like what creative videos can we actually make for the channel that would actually be unique, as opposed to it not like in a way that it's not just, oh, this is just a second channel video on the main channel. Because like obviously in terms of like stuff that we already have, like for reviews, for example, if I'm always going to use this, like if whenever we actually do like a week of Outsiders coverage, obviously that will happen. It's just that it won't be like connected with something else. It'll just happen in a random like week in July, and then like be followed after with the demos, and then that'll be kind of it. Like that's what I kind of mean in terms of like the content's gonna definitely feel sporadic now, because it's like we don't. There's no need of like having to like constantly feed the channel stuff and such, because of the fact that we don't have much things left to cover that I want to cover and such. But I think that's where the written reviews come in handy and such, because with the written reviews, what I have planned right now, besides obviously like, you know, traditional like the traditional demonstrations of roleplay items, I want to get back into doing written reviews for like action figures and such, because we only did that once with Dino Fury Gold, Dino Master Mode Gold. So I want to do that again for this year, but I want to shake it up by doing it as a collective and such. So for example, with the PowerRider action figure line for Gov, there are 3 figures in that line. There is Gov Poppin' Gummy, Balin Chocodon, and Gov Caking Form. Once I actually have Caking Form in possession, I can like do all those 3 figures in one video and such. And that will be the video for the month. And then what I have in mind for the other two would be covering the action hero line for Gojuju, as I only have one in possession, which is Goju Wolf. Leon Tyranno and Wild Goju Wolf are in the HLJ warehouse, and then I still have yet to secure Eagle, Unicorn, Polar, and Tegazord Goju Wolf. So, like, if I get those ones in hand, then I can cover all 8 of those figures into one video. But I understand that people might not want to have figures like that, or like figure coverage like that combined and such, which is why I was like thinking, for example, if I do have to like individualize them, then I think that approach will be better for like doing like the Marvel Legends figures I own, because I own the live action Spider-Man figures for that. I would ideally, again, those ones could either be all collective in one video, or they can be all individualized videos, which then means those can span up to like a month and such. I think it's just more so the issue of like repetitiveness on like certain aspects of the figure and such that will kind of, I think, hurt the like flow of the video, because especially for someone that, like, again, with the action heroes for Gojuju, if you have to watch 8 weeks of that line and then hear the same like beats of articulation and such, I think obviously someone's gonna go mad. But it's like, I kind of have to do that approach because I have to write everyone, for the most part. I have to mostly write as if this is the first one that you've approached and such. Even though I think with like CSM Gaim, I just said like, oh yeah, if you watch the, like, I do constantly refer to like, hey, you need to watch the Sengoku Driver video to understand this and such. So I do brush over like some details, but like, I feel like for figures you can't necessarily do that. Figures, you do have to approach it as if this is someone's first video that they're watching. But that's why I'm like, I think it would just be better to have them as a collective, so then you don't have that repetitiveness. And then, so then, like, you can actually just gloss over, like, for example, if I had the 5 Gojujers, I can just gloss over, yep, all 5 of them come with Tegazords. Like, I don't have to go into detail with each one of, like, yep, this is the Tegazord, these are the details comprised of the Tegazord. Like, because then it just, the script feels like it's going to be a copy and paste. And, like, I think I would rather have, like, just get to the point and kind of thing, but I don't know. It kind of depends. You can give me your feedback in the comments of this video if you so inclined to do so. Disclaimer of like, obviously this is not, all of this doesn't have to happen in this year. This is generally just what I have planned for now, like, for the channel and such. Because speaking of which, if we do want to have like the written reviews that we have typically have done for the channel, then what I have planned next then as a series would be the premium DX line for the Memorial Raised Buckles. Because on this, on my, this is my left, yeah, this is your right, but this is my left. I only own the Laser Raise Riser and its replacement, and the Monster Raised Buckle. Which means for what I'm getting, I need to get Magnum Boost, Ninja, Beat, Zombie, Fantasy, Begrudgingly, Boost Mark II, and then Oneness. So I need to get like 8 more raised buckles for it to become for that to be 10 weeks worth of content and such. Unless I decide to split it up and make it, like, okay, here, you get your first wave of premium DX Geats in this month, and then you get your second wave in this month and such. I think it just depends what I get in hand, I guess. But I think because I think the written reviews definitely like written reviews were kind of more so done because of like stuff like the Memorial Edition, or like the Memorial like releases of like the Ryder and Sentai stuff. Because I think especially with like Ryder, I got bugged with the fact, like I got really annoyed with myself that like it would take me forever to get excessive down to detail of like making sure I got everything about this set like right and such, and then it's like, well, it's an hour. No one wants to watch an hour worth of this stuff, or like someone talking about it. They might as well just watch the demo, because that's at least worthwhile as an hour. So it's just like, I just think it'll make sense to have Geats as that like opener of like, Geats is going to be the one series where it's going to get transitioned from the normal reviews to the written reviews and such, despite discrepancies in regards to Geats. But it's just like, you know, I wanted to own at least the first wave, and then they did the other two buckles that didn't have sounds built into them prior. So it's like, obviously, I plan on getting Fantasy from the beginning. I have to get Boost Mark 2 because it follows the logic of the other buckles. And because, you know, I own the Laser Raise Riser. Oneness is the only power-up item I'm going to get, because that one actually improves on the original one. It's not just, oh, well, here's some little specs here and there. And, like, you know, I do think the Oneness buckle is neat for what you know, even though it's just a small thing they included, but it's like, it's at least nice. But last but not least, I wanted to say that what will happen on the channel in the foreseeable future is, obviously, we're going to cover more non-Japanese toku, as we kind of started that initiative last year, with obviously covering a lot, mostly Armor Hero, but obviously just more so like, obviously covering like Bandai Japan, not Bandai Japan, Bandai China, or just like Chinese, like, you know, like non-Japanese like tokusatsu items and such. We are going to still continue that initiative this year with, I think, what might be one of the first written reviews that we might do. It depends when Striken ships it out. The Batar transformation belt and such, because Striken pre-ordered that, and I might make him do another written review for that toy. So that's going to be the first instance. But the big thing I kind of threw together, just because I thought it made sense as a follow-up of my Armor Hero coverage, why not we cover its sister franchise, Battle Strike Team? To be specific though, we will only be covering the first 3 entries of Battle Strike Team. Railway Vanguard will not be included, just because that's just, it's not really Toku-centric, and I think it mainly only comprises of the robots. There's no roleplay items within that line, I think. I could potentially change my mind, but I've only seen listings of the robots. Which means we will be covering Giant Saber, Space Deleter, and Rescue Engine. But out of those 3, Space Deleter, we will cover the majority of that toy line. While Giant Saber and Rescue Engine, I'll only be covering the summoning devices out of those, which will mean those will always span from a week, and then another week for the demos, and then Space Deleter is kind of, I think Space Deleter is odd because obviously the mechs don't they don't make sounds, so we don't need demos for that. But like the summoning devices and such, like yeah, obviously those will get like reviews and demos. But there's like an odd amount of like there's an odd not there's an even amount to the point that there's like going to be one day missing if we were to do it like 2 weeks and such. So I don't really know what to fill that out with. But basically, I I was originally only going to do Space Deleter because Space Deleter is probably my favorite out of the three shows in terms of like toys. But then the changers or the summoning devices for Giant Saber and Rescue Engine aren't that hard to track down. The Rescue Driver is actually going to be the most expensive one by being under $30 in terms of like Xiaoyu pricing. So, and the Rescue Driver does a lot. So it's just kind of like, I kind of do want to get it and such. Which more so kind of meant like, I don't know, I didn't want to leave out Giant Saber, but I'll admit that Giant Saber summoning devices aren't really my favorite. They're interesting, but they're not my favorite. But again, they're like under $10 for the most part, so it's like I'm not gonna pass up on that. Because then honestly, after covering Battle Strike Team, I forgot their name for a second. I generally don't know where to move on to because obviously there's not, because that's all it for Oldie Toku, unless they get their Toku series out and started. But like, I don't know where to go after that because like I would like to touch up on Legend Hero. The issue is that I don't know where to get my hands on in terms of the Korean, the original domestic Korean releases because I can only find the Chinese versions of the Legend Hero stuff, and it's like I can go for that, but like I really would prefer the Korean releases just for the sake of that being the country of origin and such. Because then, realistically, the first thing that you might see coverage on this channel, in an unfortunate circumstance, will be the MMPR Reignition toys, specifically of the Power Morpher and the Blade Blaster and such. But I'm waiting to see if the Dragon Dagger gets released sometime in the next 2 months or so. So then I can finally open them and like, do videos on it. Like, I know it's kind of sad that it's like, wow, really? You can't even buy into the new like Bandai Japan Toku stuff, and yet you spare your money to the evil Playmates MMPR toys. And it's like, look, like, the stuff that Playmates are doing is stuff that I don't own because I didn't want to, obviously at the time, I couldn't obviously get the Legacy Collection versions of like those stuff. No, I would have wanted it. But it's just like, since like the MMPR stuff is like, for the most part, under $20 and easily on a Walmart peg, it's like, yeah, sure. like I wouldn't mind. like, because it's just like they're not like, or especially like the Blade Blaster and like the weapon like Dragon Dagger and stuff. Like those are not really weapons I like feel so strongly about. But it's just kind of like, I mean, if you're at Walmart and if that thing's just sitting on the peg for like $20, then it's like, yeah, sure, like I'll pick it up because like there's not really much else for me to get and such. But I think other than that, I think that is everything I kind of wanted to say in terms of like what's there to be like upcoming on the channel and such. And before then, I just want to address some smaller things and such. So like obviously with Power 10, I like did a face reveal kind of thing, to which I would just straight up say, no, I will not be constantly plastering my face on every video and like stuff like that. This is just, I think we're going to treat it as like a once in a while occasion, maybe like twice a year now kind of thing at best. But like, we might just make it once and such, just because it's like, you know, like people don't need to be having to see my face and such. And in a technicality sense, just because I put my face out there, I shouldn't be entitled to be forced into keeping it out in the public and such. Because like, even though like, because I know a lot of like channels that would obviously like put their face out for like years, but then like they still choose to keep themselves anonymous, like here and there and such. So that's kind of where I'm gonna go. That's my approach and such, just because it's like, even though it does defeat the purpose of the ending of PowerRider 10, but like, it's just more so like, we're still gonna just do things as usual. Nothing's changing. You're just not getting as much content out of me anymore, basically. And like, speaking of that, like, I'm essentially just going to be like more quieter in terms of like online presence and such, just because it's like, I would rather have my stuff speak. I'd rather have my videos not speak for myself, or speak for themselves, rather than me having to do it via text and such, just because it's like, I don't need to be constantly, I think it's just more healthier of me just kind of like laying low and not being like consciously online and such, just so then like my work can actually kind of be more like, so then my work can actually like, when it's viewed, it can actually be like, oh, okay, that's why he's not been like speaking, like, okay, rather than just like, you know, what you typically see of just like, oh, yep, there's just a stream of videos here and there, and like, yep, he's just constantly sharing things on like these platforms and such, which obviously gives the announcement that was already kind of given at the end of the video compilation of 2025, or the video edit compilation, that, yeah, I will no longer be active on Twitter anymore, just because obviously I haven't belonged on that platform for years. But that doesn't mean I'm deactivating. I'm still keeping it up because I need to, so then people will still have a place to watch my video edits and such. However, as to where I'm gonna post my future video edits and such, that will be my Blue Sky, which has already been in the description for a year and such. So please do follow that if you are so inclined to just see what I'm up to and such, in terms of like video edits or just previews for like future stuff. And then this was already announced prior in the last live stream, but like, alongside videos no longer being like annual, live streams will no longer be annual on the channel, which will mean I'll be ending my 3-year streak of streaming once per month, and will be just streaming whenever I feel inclined doing so and such, which most likely will be when I decide to open things, like when I get my Battle Strike team stuff. Whenever I decide to finally do that, we will just do a stream opening that stuff, or like opening whatever stuff I have on the side of me. Oh man, I forgot to bring this up. Obviously, I want to apologize about the fact that 2025 did not have any unboxings or like openings posted. That was just due to the fact that when I wanted to put up the monthly unboxing, and a package I wanted to have in at that point to like be the like concluding like section for that video, it didn't. Well, we didn't get to ship it, so I ended up having to extend it to the last 3 months of the year. To which I think in February, because there's some spoilers. By February, you will get to see the monthly unboxing of 2025 alongside the unboxing spectacular and such. You will finally get them next year, but I promise. Well, unfortunately, I think is what I'm gonna have to say. I think we're gonna change the way we're gonna upload the unboxings because of the fact, like, now they're just going to be. I think instead of them being broken up quarterly, they're just going to be a like long compilation of like packages that we've received for that entire year, because that's basically what ended up happening. And I've already discussed this in the unboxings themselves, but I think we're going to merge our unboxing series because obviously for a while we had the monthly unboxings and the unboxing spectaculars, which, to break it down to you, the unboxing spectaculars were basically proxy service unboxings. Monthly unboxings were like places from such as like Mondarake, HLJ, Hobby Search, to collectibles, like pre-orders or like new upcoming stuff. That's basically what the monthly unboxings became. But now, because of the fact that obviously both of those sites have downgraded severely, and because I haven't been ordering off of Buy for the entire since April of 2025, and have transitioned into using Superbuy. The two unboxing series are going to merge into the Unboxing Super. So, which means unboxings will be now, for the most part, one series and one video and such. Which will then technically mean the 2026 entry should be by the end of the year. Sorry, I had to change the battery out because the camera died midway through. Other than that, like, I guess as a way to like conclude this, I feel like, I've already accomplished like a long-term goal of like succeeding in fulfilling things for the 10th anniversary of the channel. So it's just like now it's like I don't really have any like necessary like big long-term goals I want to like succeed in now, because now I have to try to figure out like, well, what do I want to do to like sustain it now, because it's like we don't really have anything to reach out for, or there's like not really anything much more to succeed, because I've succeeded in my goals and such, like almost like 4 years ago now. Like, we've already succeeded at reaching 1,000 subscribers and such. Now we're at 2,500, and like the second channel is almost at 1,200 subscribers and such. So like we've already succeeded in our goal of reaching the minimum of 1,000 subscribers, and now we've already succeeded the goal of doing this for an entire decade and such. So it's just really, I guess, like, I'm kind of in a phase of like, well, I don't really know what more to strive for, because it's like there's not really any like big things I want to accomplish now, because I've already accomplished all I wanted to do basically for this career and such. Which is why I didn't want to just straight up announce, like, yep, the channel is going on hiatus, because it's like, no, there's still things I want to, like, still obviously want to keep the channels alive, but now it's just like, is it going to become mindless, or is it just going to become like, yep, we're just back as usual kind of thing? Like, obviously, I do have a big project that I want to start outlining and such, but it's just like, obviously, I'm not going to be public about it until, like, I was going to, but I would rather keep it down low in case it doesn't end up happening. But, like, for the most part, like, right now, I'm more so just focused on, like, I should probably just start actually, like, upgrading stuff around me. So then we can strive to do better stuff, or, like, improve what we currently have and such. Like, obviously, I'll like to get another softbox, so then when I do stuff with the background, I don't have to deal with so much shadows. Heck, replace the lights in this room, because they haven't been replaced in 2 years. The big thing, then, like, you know, upgrading my camera equipment, so, like, getting a new tripod, and then, like, getting an entire new camera as a whole, because I've been using this camera since 2017, not 2016 and such, and I would like to upgrade to a cinema camera, which will then mean I'll need to upgrade my computer so then it can handle 4K stuff, and I have the storage to have 4K, even though that's not necessarily, like, something I'm, like, gravitating for. It's just like, you know, I'll just like to have the option of, like, working with 4K, just so then, like, it can be optimized for the future and stuff like that. But it's just like, that's what I'm more kind of, like, thinking about, of just like, I want to upgrade the equipment around me, because I've been working with this equipment for almost a decade and such. And it's like, yeah, it's good that I've made use out of this equipment for the last decade, but I definitely do understand it's like, I can only stick with this stuff for so long, and that, like, I do need to strive to, like, push it to the next level and such, which is why, for example, after finishing PowerRider 10, I finally upgraded my Adobe stuff from Adobe 2020 to 2024. And, like, you know, it would be nice to be able to soundproof the room, or, like, to actually get a microphone that I can actually, no, sorry, to get a camera that can actually utilize a microphone and stuff like that. So then, like, or just get a microphone in general. So then, like, you know, our quality, or video quality, improves. Like, because I get it. Unfortunately, people don't really care about the cinematography behind a toy review, because people just want to get straight to the point and such. So it's like, you know, there is a financial loss in terms of, like, focusing so much on the cinematography of, like, the littlest thing. But, like, I think it's more so, like, in my case, I can just, obviously, that I can utilize that more, or I can, in my case, I don't necessarily have to improve my cinematography not standards. It's more so, like, I think I want to challenge myself as, like, in more areas in terms of stuff like that, because obviously I'm somewhat proficient in, like, the video editing sphere, but I feel like I am kind of, like, still in the basics, or, like, my stuff does come out, like, basic in terms of, like, other spheres, and, like, and it's like, obviously I still have areas I need to improve at and such, so it's like, we need to set things up that can challenge ourselves to get ourselves to advance, so then we can actually be credible for our positions and such. I think that's what I'm I guess that's what I'm gonna be trying to strive for the next quarter of my life. But even so, even like without an audience or with an audience, I probably would have still done this like path and such, just because it's like, it's just more so like, I guess it's just like my best way of like expressing myself, and like despite the challenges of like trying to get your vision onto paper and like trying to get others to understand it, and then like to try to like actually like put it into like actuality, like, it's, I guess it's more so just trying to find like an answer of like, well, why should I keep on going, like, like let's try to like find something to like do with our time and such. Because like it's just more so like I don't really know what I'm doing at this point, because I'm just kind of like skirting life right now. Because I'm just, I don't want to say I'm barely making it through, because like I don't have credentials to like verify that, but it's just kind of like, I'm just kind of existing right now, and it's just kind of like, the world's a really bad place right now. So like it's just more so like I don't want to do something that can be considered of ignorance, and like, I don't want to like accidentally hurt people with like what I'm doing. So it's just kind of like, that's why it's just like this really thin line of like of just trying to stay there, but like, trying to figure out like, well, like what's gonna keep us up, kind of thing. And it's just more so like I'm gonna I want to spend this time trying to like probably trying to do like original stuff, kind of thing, or just like stuff that will at least still satisfy like people like you who have like potentially have stuck around for almost a decade, or even like 2 to 3 years and such, like just to keep these people afloat and such. But like, but I guess with no longer with the mentality of like, well, like there still needs to be self-sacrifice, obviously, and such, because and like idol the ideals of like, self-sacrificing your joy for the sake of others' joy, so then their joy gets transformed into joy for you and such, like that kind of cycle and such, like keeping that cycle up in a healthy sense and such, without it seeming to be draining, because I think that was my issue with the last. It was an on and off issue with me and such, of just like sacrificing so much for so little, and then just having like that like mindset of like, what is the point of doing this? And then like the next year it's like, oh wow, this actually is like working and such. And then the year after it's like back to like being like, wow, there was like no point to doing this, kind of thing. So it's just more so like, how do we like do this in a more healthier sense where both sides can still feel fulfilled without losing too much and such. I don't know where that was going. But other than that, I think that is everything I wanted to share with this update video. Just because, again, just overall, like, just wanted to say thanks to everyone for allowing me to reach this milestone of 10 years and such. Like, can we reach up to 15? Can we reach up to 20? Probably not. It depends on where the world takes us, but and like how much people are actually willing to still live through life, but it's just like again, I feel grateful that like I did manage to like reach this milestone and such. I might have unethically have gotten myself here from time to time, but it was just like overall, it's like it's just like it was nice. It was nice to being able to like indulge in it, I guess. And now it's just more so like I feel accomplished in some sense and such, which is why like now it's like, well, gee, like what do I do next now and such, which is why it's like I think it's fair that I take some time for myself and like try to figure out like what elevations can we do to like make this channel truly an embodiment of my idiocies. That is not how you say my idiosyncrasies, my stupidity of that is like my creativity and such. Because like like generally like just some of the stuff I do can be considered shallow. That is really evident in PowerRider 10. But it's just like, well, how do we improve from like our weaknesses and such? And like, will we have the people actually willing to like be there to like give you the necessary feedback to help you uh, elevate yourself to become a better person, kind of thing. To which that'll have to do with this update video. I'm sorry for the lack of my eye contact. This is Ryder, and I'll leave people. Bye.